Welcome. I thought I would make this one-off video just to sort of allay a few possible concerns as to why I've effectively gone silent on YouTube. There is a very good reason for that. But before I get into that, I have some good news for you. I feel it is something that will benefit you greatly, and that is a new channel from one of my sisters, Affy, called Gnostic 786. I think that's the right title. I will put the link in the description to the channel. What that will give you is a greater understanding and clear up a lot of the speculation over the whole religion of Islam and put it into context. So I'll put the link in the description for that. It's a new channel, and I said, well, this is a channel that needs promoting, so that is what I'm doing initially in this video. Now on to the main topic, as it were. Why have I gone silent? The way I can best describe this is, imagine you're playing a computer game and you've gone through level 1 and you've mastered level 1 and it just becomes boring. It's like we need to level up, go up to the next level, as it were. My situation in the Algarve has not changed as such. It faces all the daily material problems of where's the money coming from to pay for food for myself and the cats and such like, laundry, all your normal sort of mundane things. But it's about breaking pattern with everything. So it's like, I'm not asking for donations. I'm not going to say that donations aren't welcome, of course. And the channel is still open if you want tarot card readings, healing, or mentorship to help you through perceived obstacles in this reality. So following on from the last video with that earth clay building, the end building on this community, it's about your angle of approach. Now you can go into it with the angle of, I haven't got this equipment, I haven't got a ladder, I can't do it, I've never done it before, all the negative reasons why you can't do something. Or you can come at a different angle of approach. An angle is an angel. It's an angle of light. And that is just by visioning what you wish to achieve, and then you do the unthinkable. You don't try and think it. You don't try and problem solve it. You let the answers come into the mind's eye. That's exactly the method that I used for creating the fireplace, the community sitting area, and now the earth clay end building, filling in the gaps to those side walls. That is now being lived in. And the fire works very well in there. So in a way, what you could say is it's become child's play. It's become easy. And it's not about getting settled into a comfort zone and stagnating. So what I've basically done is I've kept this very fluid. I've visioned the outcome just by communicating to the universe on what I wish, how I wish to feel. I've not made it specific to location. I've not made it specific to what activity it will be, the living environment or anything like that. It's just purely done in feeling. That came very soon after the 15th of November, which was the day that this avatar attained 21,000 shahs, or 21,000 days. Now, what has unfolded very quickly is things that, from that negative default programming perspective, coming from that angle, that same angle of can't do, don't agree with this, creating all the objections from the conscious mind. That's not the right angle to come at this. So with the visioning, it's surrendering to the universe. It's putting out the vision that you wish to achieve. The devil is always in the details. There's no point the conscious mind even trying to figure it out, this is an unfolding story, and it is absolutely magical the way this is unfolding. There are aspects of it, dynamics of the community with people that have come in, and there's a clash of personalities. It's not been, shall we say, harmonious as such, but from my perspective, I take full responsibility and acknowledge this is all an unfolding story of the vision that I have created. And as I've said to the people involved, I give you all a round of applause, regardless of what stance or position they've taken, because they're all playing their parts in this unfolding drama. The key is to not go into the doubt, the worry, and the fear. There is a pattern with life that you'll find, which we can take back to the biblical story of this Jesus character nailed to the cross, where in the story he says, "O Father, why hast thou forsaken me?" That's almost like the conscious mind is saying, I feel lost. The things I'm being presented with are not agreeable, as it were. But again, it's the angle. What if you were to say it in the context of, "O Father, hast thou forsaken me?" It's just an open question. It's like, I don't believe you have forsaken me, or the Father is basically another name for the response of the universe from what you create. Everything that you create in the mind will eventually come out into physical manifestation if you see it through to the end. You don't miss the target. Whatever you create, you have to see through to the end. Otherwise, you will not get the outcome that you desire. So the pattern of life is you're presented with these situations which is like a fork in the road. It's a why. So why hast thou forsaken me? Because it looks like the external is now presenting something that doesn't fit with the vision. Now, if you react to that, you'll take the negative path. But if you stand back and then respond, and you recognize that what is happening is all leading somewhere, you'll then come to another fork in the road and the same thing happens. You cannot have the positive thing come first because you wouldn't reject that. You have to have the presentation of what would appear to be something very negative, which you can then transmute by being the observer and seeing that it is leading somewhere. You've only got to consider with your own life all the things that have happened, the people that have come into your life that you would see as your enemy, things that would seem to go wrong. For example, the timing of making videos. It's like part of me, or the conscious mind, may want to make a video, but the wind may pick up, or there'll be noise, or there'll be some reason why it doesn't happen. Obviously, the powering of devices is very much dependent on the solar, so overcast days are going to have an adverse effect. But that is the universe playing out what you have wished for. So the making of this video could not have happened until I had seen a notification for this new channel, because that was obviously meant to be included in what I'm talking about now. It is all an integral part of it. Excuse me a moment. Now, I cannot tell you the outcome of the vision. Again, it comes back to basically a biblical quote about go into the closet and pray to God in secret and all will be revealed to you. It's not about grandiose external displays. I will know in feeling when that vision is achieved because I've kept it fluid. I've put it out to the universe in feeling, so it will come back as feeling. We're on the same page, as it were. Where else do we want to go with this? So this is still an unfolding story, but I wanted to explain why I have gone into the silence. Because basically what I have done, I've looked at repeat patterns of my situation, and it's like, well, we're not progressing. So it's back to basics. Bring it back to its simplest thing. And in this case, it is the visioning. And it is giving over the controls to the gut feeling, the intuition. Look at the word intuition. You are your own student and teacher from the experience of this reality. When you come to that realization that what is happening is not being done to you, it is being done for you. Because the negative things will lead to positive things if you respond rather than react. So there will be other videos. It doesn't mean I'm completely silent. I'm still available if you want to directly message me. I'm still going to be watching a few things on YouTube as well, as and when I feel drawn to do so. Now, when you're in the negative, or the looking at the external and seeing it as negative, and it becomes very uncomfortable in feeling. To give you a sort of analogy, see the body as a building, and there's a fire alarm going off. Now, the sound of that fire alarm is just horrible. Are you going to suppress that warning, or are you going to sit in the discomfort, as it were, and allow things to unfold? Because these physical bodies are like buildings. You have various fire alarm systems in the nervous system. If you are prone to all kinds of stomach upsets, that is because there is miscommunication. There is not an understanding of what the gut, the intuition, is trying to communicate to the mind, to the conscious mind. The conscious mind has not learnt the language of feeling. When you get a sensation in the body that is like a pain, it is the body telling on the mind. So if you are suffering or you are prone to stomach upsets and indigestion and things, that is the communication coming from the gut to say the mind is not listening. It is not being channeled through the heart. It's a game changer to be able to do that, to realize what the body is communicating. It comes down to you come into this world with God-given gifts. It is nothing external of you. It is something you all have inside you. It's not to pedestalize anybody as, oh, they're so wonderful, they can do this, they can do that. It is purely that they have unlocked something inside themselves and have found the ability to do that. So the visioning has gone on from the child's play stuff to now something far bigger. What has also come into this is a theme of letting go, which has become a huge strength. Inside this mind there is a load of very material clutter that needs to be released. So the way I'm doing that is something I've spoken about before. It's about a disconnect of this reality. If you can immerse yourself into something to the point where you lose track of time because you are so immersed in it, when you have this presentation of things that seem to be a discomfort zone, you can immerse yourself in something that will stop the conscious mind from creating worries, potential possible scenarios, most of which are just unfounded and don't come true. But of course, the mind creates, and you become your worst enemy if you pursue that path of doubt, fear, and worry. So a good way to overcome that is to immerse yourself in something. So effectively what I will be doing, I will be becoming a ghostwriter, and I will be giving this information to another YouTube channel that has absolutely nothing to do with anything I talk about on this channel. It is very much in the material, but there will be benefits to it. I've taken the blueprint pattern of the Great Pyramid of Giza that it is encoded with something that by the time the AI realizes what has happened, it can't be stopped by the AI. It's put out into the field. If you want to know more about that, I suggest you listen to Archaic's channel about the Great Pyramid of Giza and what its true function is. But from that, you can take a micro version and you can follow that same pattern. It will throw the algorithms. There will be no real connection apart from communication between myself and the intended channel. And if it is not that channel, if they don't take up the idea, then I'm sure there will be another channel that would welcome it, and it will bring some pleasure to a small group. I'm not going to say what it is, because that would allow the AI, especially through something like a YouTube video, it would give it an advantage of knowing where you're going with this. But if you can find something that you were maybe previously passionate about, something you have a greater knowledge than most people about, that you can immerse yourself into, you can take yourself out of that discomfort zone. You won't be sitting in the feeling of discomfort because you'll be overriding it by focusing on something else. It's no different really from when you're in that doubt and fear stage where you focus on the breathing. Same with a panic attack. If you focus on the deep, slow breathing, it will knock the panic attack sensation out of you. You'll master the feelings of the body, because the body is no respecter of the mind. You may want to go into a meditation, for example, and you find you've got a stomachache or some other cramp or something that is going to try and pull you out of that. It's the conscious mind not wanting to go into an unknown realm, as it were. It's out of its comfort zone. So it will throw up all these things to try and stop you doing it. But it is about mastering one's emotions. It's about mastering one's physical avatar, so everything is working together, singing from the same song sheet, as it were. So I don't know, I can't give you a time scale. I've estimated around 3 weeks because of the rapidity of an ever-changing situation here, which is all aspects of leading towards what I have visioned. What has also come out of this is I am 100% clear on what my role is in the future on this time scale. And part of it is going to seem very much like time has slowed down, but we're talking over the next 11-year time span. I know when the time is right, and I know for what I'm going to do is not going to be popular. It will go against the grain, but the grain, the majority as it were, are going to be fooled by a mass deception. Yes, they will have a golden age, but it will be very superficial and very material. It is the ultimate trick that is going to be played out in this reality. But in the interim, until I do make the next video, I'd like you, or I invite you, to step into a role and play God. Let me explain this. If we look at the story of creation, it's God that creates the stars, the heavens, as it were. We are co-creators. We have the ability to do this. Now, it may take you some time, some practice to see this through, but it's going to be a huge benefit to you. Just like with a physical body, if you don't sort of maintain it, if you decide you're going to sit down all day, what's going to happen to your leg muscles? Surely they're going to atrophy, and you'll find you're not going to be able to walk great distances like you could before because of lack of activity. So likewise, the brain is basically just a muscle. So what I'd like you to do, you probably won't get this right first time. It may take a lot of practice to do this. But I would like you, in your mind's eye, to picture a triangle. We'll start with an equilateral triangle. Now start playing with that triangle with the mind. See it in your mind, that triangle. So a triangle is just basically three sides. They could be equal distances, or you could elongate part of it so you have an acute angles and obtuse angles. And you keep that changing to every conceivable triangle in your mind. The next step is to make it three-dimensional. So you could even make it into a pyramid. Then when you've done that, keeping that morphing of all conceivable triangles, but now in 3 dimensions, create a second one that is overlaid. So you basically got 2 pyramids or 2 triangles that are now base to base. So it forms a diamond. You could even close those 2 triangles up. So you've basically got a 6-sided hexagram from a 2-dimensional view of it, or what you could call the Star of David. But of course, you're keeping that every triangle shape going. Now you've got an upper section and a lower section. Now add colour to it. Maybe start with red and just go through the entire colour spectrum. If you can keep that all flowing in the mind, what you'll probably see is you cannot keep up with the change in the colours, the change in the shapes. There's another 4th aspect to this. That top triangle, spin it clockwise. The lower triangle, the inversion of it, spin it anti-clockwise. Now keep the whole thing moving. When you have perfected that, and you can see it in the mind's eye with the changing colours, the changing shape, the 2 rotations, you could even make it more complex if you so wish, but I feel those 4 steps are enough. What you'll basically end up with, if you start pulling away from it, is what you see with the stars, that twinkling effect. It'll be the colours that will be completely changing all the time. The shape will be changing, depending on how fast you spin it, of course. You will basically create a star. Now, when you have mastered that and you can hold it in the mind, that is the time to let it go. Let it out into the universe. Now, it may well be within a day. I don't know the time scale of this, but you may stumble across a headline or a notification or even a news story on mainstream media. A scientist has discovered a new star. It is the star that you will have created in your mind, that you have now let go out into the universe. You are playing the part of the creator, so you have created the star to go into the heavens. Now you have a scientist, could be any name. You won't know him from Adam, or her from Adam, as it were. Because just like the Bible story, it is God that creates everything, and Adam is given the task of naming everything. So that scientist will play the Adam part. And they will, I don't know whether they give it a name or a number, we could call it U365 or whatever, doesn't matter. But you will know inside yourself that is the star that you have created. If you have seen this through to the end, and you have overcome not just the fluidity of what you're creating in the mind, which you cannot put down on paper, as soon as you try and bring anything into the physicality of this reality, it can only take a singular form. So you could create an equilateral triangle in red, and you could have an overlaid inverted triangle in blue, for example, but it will be static because you've committed it to paper. You've brought it into a physical reality. But if you keep it flowing in the mind, and you can achieve that, and then you can let go of it, but you're still seeing it with the mind's eye. This is not only a beautiful exercise to exercise the brain, but it is actually going to create something that you will know, because something will draw your attention, something will catch your eye to that external headline, as whichever scientist has discovered a new star which they have named or numbered, whatever it is. Devil's in the detail, that doesn't matter. What is key here is you will know in the communication of the feeling. You will also be exercising the brain. You will be able to create in the mind far better. Imagine if you can do this, if you see this through to the end. If the story is written in the stars, if we're adding new stars onto the canopy of the world stage, I feel that will make a huge difference. Time will tell, because everything in this realm is subject to time. So do let me know how you get on in the comments. I may be disappearing from creating videos, but I'm still going to be there in the background because I need to do this immersion. I need to put something else out into the field which would seem to be totally disconnected, and doing it as a ghostwriter, so there will be no accolades, there will be no credit. I will not be known as the individual that has written this material. That has no bearing. It's a release, it's a letting go, it's knowledge of things I don't need to have cluttered upstairs, as it were, in the loft. The attic, which is the mind, needs to be kept orderly, just as you would do in a house, in an attic. If you just throw everything up there, you're not going to be able to find anything. But if you put things into neat compartments and you keep it tidy, then you'll be able to access things. It's the basis of the Google Cloud, but of course this is your lower self and your higher self, because the spirit realm, it's limitless, it's infinite, as and when the information can come back, as and when you need it. This has been the case. This is part of the unfolding story, because I can immerse myself in something, and the way I'm going to write it is going to introduce something very subtle. I only have to look at nature and this land here. If I wish to plant seeds, then the soil has to be reactivated. So the ghostwriting is the reactivation of the field of the human, or a section of the human populace, that may then plant seeds for them to discover the truth about this reality, and how it is just a perceived reality instead of a real reality. So that's where we are at the moment. So to allay anybody's concern something may have happened to me, going from a position of making almost daily videos, I believe, back in June. But now it is time for me to go into the silence. So I leave you with that exercise for you to be able to create a star and put into the universe. It's going to bring more light into this reality. Some of you may think that's crazy, it's not possible. But from my own experience of this reality, it is all what we create from our mind, what we project out into this external world. It's a canvas that will then reflect back exactly what you're creating in your mind. So if you are in doubt and fear and worry about anything, what do you think you're going to attract back to yourself? That saying that we are our own worst enemies comes to mind. This is the brilliance of the entire construct that we're in. The ultimate adversary, the ultimate enemy, is something inside of us as much as it is something outside of us. There is something in here with us, but it is playing a role. It ultimately will lead to its defeat. The best way I can describe this is we are going through a spiritual evolution. You are gods in the making. You need to recognize that and find that inside yourself through your intuition. You're not going to be let loose to create worlds until you have mastered everything inside yourself and mastered the ability to create. Because it is, well, you've only got to look in the external world, the manifestation of what is created from the collective. And the observation of it is that things could be done a lot better. But there is an unfolding story, and things will appear to be getting better for a lot of people, which will then require one or maybe one to actually point out the king has no clothes on. It's a very superficial material golden age that is coming. It's a false golden age that is coming. It has to play out this way. It comes back to that why. Why are we here? What am I supposed to do? And so on. That is what you're trying to find out. It is that why, that coming off that cross of belief systems. It is releasing and handing over the controls of your higher self. It is recognition that you are a co-creator. You have the power within you. If you have a perception that this reality seems stacked against you, and there's everything from every aspect of your life, every moment of every day in this physical material reality, things seem to be going the wrong way. They seem to be stacked against you, whether it be medication, the diet, whatever's being sprayed in the air, anything. It all seems stacked against you. So the question from that surely must be, why would there be a need for that to be in place? What is it that this control system is trying to stop you from finding within oneself? That is what it fears, because what is inside you is infinitely more powerful than anything this material world can throw at you. But the key is to find that inner recognition of oneself, to be totally fearless. This is why I am going into the silence. This is why I have thrown everything away, as it were, and I'm going purely on intuition-driven approaches to things, because I find it is working. So now let's put it to a greater test. Let's level up. Let's go to the next level on the game, as it were. Let's prove that this is entirely possible. So there will be a video coming at some point when I have achieved that, when I can give you some physical proof that actually shows it. I am seeing physical proof of it. I'm not going to any details on any of it. What I can tell you is the things that you would perceive as good, the things that you would perceive as bad, they're all part of the mix, out of which the observation of what you would call good or bad, I'm just in gratitude for the lot. This is an amazing journey. So I invite you to try that mind exercise and create a star. Step into the role of a co-creator and put a few more stars up there. Shine a few more lights into this reality. And just, it will all, it's like a cake. Would you eat the raw ingredients of a cake? I mean, I should imagine flour wouldn't be particularly pleasant, but it's a component of a cake. But when you put everything into the mix and you bake it, and it rises, of course, and you have an end product which is a composite of a lot of different flavors, a lot of different ingredients. Some may taste nice, some may taste horrible when they're raw. But when you put them together, you've got a product that you've created. In this analogy, it's a cake. But it's no different from what we can do with our minds. But it is up to you whether you want to believe it, but I would recommend that you put it to the test and prove it to yourself. That ultimately is the only way you're going to see this through to the end and step through the next fiery door. This last few weeks has been stepping through a fiery door, not knowing, it's basically going into a darkness and having to feel your way through things. But the observation of it all, instead of reacting and responding, has left me with a feeling of, wow, gratitude, thank you so much to everybody that is playing a part. It's coming together beautifully. It is creating a most wonderful cake with a most wonderful flavour. So you may want to replay parts of that, go back over the exercise, but I invite you to try it and see what you can do. You are a co-creator if you can recognize it and find it within inside yourself. The only real way you'll be able to do that is through intuition. But of course it has to pass through the heart. There has to be empathy and not being judgmental as well. Don't judge anything. Judge ye not, lest ye be judged, is the saying in the biblical terms. And it's a very true one. It's something I'm finding from experience. Things that may look less agreeable, just sit with it. Sit in that discomfort zone, because it's taking you out of a comfort zone anyway. You're not going to make progress unless you step out of a comfort zone. If you sit too long in a comfort zone, you'll just atrophy, and it's not a trophy. It's the opposite. But it's entirely down to you what you do with this and whether you try this for yourself. But I'm giving you this from a testimony of an experience, of a story that is still very much unfolding. I don't know, 3 weeks from now, 6 months from now, I may have a very wonderful story to share with you. But there is nothing I can actually show you at the moment. But just to finish off, I just wanted to explain why I have gone silent. But it doesn't mean I'm not doing anything. I'm still there. I'm still contactable. I've not shut myself off from the world. But this is a whole new dynamic, and where your attention goes, the energy flows. So it's just a refocus, a new angle, a new perspective, rather than coming from I haven't got and I can't do, from that position of lack and doubt in one's abilities, to basically doing like a pole shift, moving 45 degrees as it were. And so now I can see it from a different angle. By not thinking it and trying to problem solve it, the answers just come to the mind's eye. It's incredible the way it works. That, again, I refer you back to the previous video about doing that earth clay building. This is just a greater extension of that, of what I am doing now. Right, that's 40 minutes. I'm sorry this has gone on longer than I didn't actually set a time limit on it, but I thought I wanted to fully explain this to everybody. And I hope that you can find this for yourselves. So until the next video, as always, without judgment, unconditional love to you all.